All right, welcome back to the BMX Commentator Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Eames, UCI BMX Racing World Cup and World Championships commentator. We are back with another episode. I am so excited to have this episode. Not even the guest, but I'm always excited to have the guest. But the subject matter of the episode, I was really excited about as well. We've got Scott Beaumont back on the podcast. Scott, how are you?
The first two-time guest. I'm buzzing.
Yes, you are.
Absolutely buzzing. Yeah, it's good. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, amazing. Just had an amazing weekend. Not at the Brits, at the Malverns.
At the Malverns.
UK's biggest mountain bike festival. It was just awesome. We were there from Thursday to Monday. It was just incredible. Really, really cool. And I won. Amazing. So yeah, I defended my four-cross national championship title. Stressful day, a lot of gearing changes, a lot of tire change. I think we went through like 4 different sets of tires and compounds before we settled on the final setting. So we were just chasing settings all day. Competition was stiffer than ever. And just stoked to take the win. Absolutely stoked. Rode really, proud of myself. Rode well all weekend, rode well all day and took the win. So I'm buzzing. Okay. National champion again, 12 times.
Hey, tire compounds and settings. Listen to you, Mr. Formula One.
Oh, honestly, it's not, in BMX where you have, you check your tire pressure and that's about it. In mountain biking, there's so much more that goes on. So we went from, just to bore everyone, but we went from Schwalbe Magic Mary on a soft compound to Magic Mary on a ultra soft compound. And it rained a little bit. So we went to Dirty Dan Spikes on a soft compound, then went to ultra soft compound, and we were going to come back to Magic Mary's, but we stuck with the spikes, and I'm really glad we did, because in the final, that was actually the difference between me winning and losing. So just had some grip in some corners that was absolutely needed. And yeah, but like I say, in mountain bike, it's not just like we have a tire tread, we have like compound options within the tread. So a lot to think about, a lot to go on. And also, people just think on mountain bike, you just change your gears on the back derailleur, but actually we were changing front chain rings as well to like change the ratios, and so we did that 3 times during practice. A lot going on, loads more than BMX. There's a lot more setup to be done. Obviously, I haven't even touched on the suspension settings that we were going a few clickers in and out on compression and rebound as well during the day. So as the speeds ramp up, you got to slow that compression down a bit, you got to slow that rebound down a bit. So loads to think. There's a lot more to go on on a mountain bike race than a BMX.
Oh my gosh. All the BMX dads, all the Teco BMX dads are frothing right now listening to this episode. Going, ooh, can we do a bit of this? Can we do a bit of that?
Yeah, come do some forecasts and get involved. Yeah, this is exactly it. It's definitely different. It's as simple as you want to make it, or it's as complex as you want to make it. The spectrum is there in mountain bike, in four-cross, so you can, if you get to mine and Thomas Slavic's levels at the higher end, at the sharp end, you are talking thousandths of a second accounting. And you're saying what GB BMX team are doing. If you look at what Beth will be doing, what Kai's doing, they'll be looking at ceramic bearings, they'll be looking at different chains, wheelbase lengths, all that. It'll all come into play. So there's everything's as complicated as you want to make it. But we did a lot of setting chasing at the weekend just to get that number one, result, and it paid off.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. The thing is, the Malverns Brits clash. I mean, we've just discussed that one before we started recording, and I think that is a podcast in itself. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so much discussion to be had.
There's a conversation to be had. It's the biggest, and maybe it's not to be had. There'll be some diehards who are saying there's no conversation here to be had at all. But, especially with me taking over the organisation of British Four-Cross Series this year, there's a lot more crossover. We had 87 BMX riders this year who tried Four-Cross for the first time ever. We've got our final rounds coming up, shameless plug, on the 29th of September in Twisted Oaks. So we're going to have, I think, over 100 BMX riders will try Four-Cross for the first time this year. So certainly more crossover than there's ever been before, and that will continue to grow because the word is getting out about the Four-Cross races and stuff. So I just think there's an adult conversation to be had about, do these weekends have to clash? Does the Brits utilize a bank holiday Monday? If the party is as big a part of the Brits as the racing, then so be it. Then it has to be on a bank holiday. if people are saying, well, no, actually the racing is the main part of the weekend, and we'd like to go to Malverns as well, and maybe you'd like to commentate there, Rich, or some people like to race or do some dirt jumping or whatever it may be, then there's certainly a discussion to be had, because the Malverns is locked in on that date for the next 10 years. They've got an agreement with Eastern Deer Park, Eastern Castle. That facility is locked in a contract. So it's just an adult conversation. If BMX won't move, that's fine. It's not a problem. But there's definitely going to be, there's talk of more riders coming to Malverns next year from Brits, because they're just having such a good time on the mountain bike. So it doesn't have to be a competition. It's not a competition. It's just doing something different. And I don't think our two biggest events should be clashing. No. But I'm not the powers that be. I'm just someone who enjoys riding both. I love BMX. I love mountain bikes. And if there was a way of doing both, then an adult conversation is certainly due on that subject.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm glad it was good anyway. So just moving on, because we did have a plan for this podcast, believe it or not. We didn't have a plan for the last one, did we? But we definitely have a plan for this one.
Okay.
And basically, as part of the last podcast, if you haven't gone back and listened to the Adventures in Podcasting episode, which I think was 2 or 3 back, between myself and Scott, we had a brief conversation about sponsorship within BMX and mountain biking and that kind of stuff. And we said we were going to circle back to that, look at it in more depth, and give you, the listeners, some real pointers on how to kind of present yourself properly to sponsors. And we finished that conversation, Scott, and my head was going, and I'm going, wheels were turning, and I'm like, this is far too exciting a subject to sleep on. So I'm like, right, we need to get you back on really quickly. And luckily you were up for it, which is good. So we're going to dip into sponsorship and marketing in the world of BMX and mountain biking. You're going to give us the benefit of your 40 odd years of experience, and we're going to drop some science, I think is the best way to describe it. So, I think probably question number 1 from me would be, what do you think the common myths are around sponsorship in the bike industry? Because there's so many of them, people going, oh, it's just about getting, free stuff from manufacturers and that kind of stuff. They're only interested in your social media numbers. You've just got to be cool and this, that, and the other. But let's just address, Scott, to start off, those common myths about sponsorship in the bike industry. You ream them off and we'll just talk about them.
Okay. You mentioned social media there first. It's what sends shivers down my spine. We've touched on this a few times before, but there was this. It used to be not even used to be. In the recent past, it used to be about how many followers have you got, how many likes have you got, etc., etc. And the problem with that is, for example, my Instagram, I've got 45,000 followers. I've got a blue tick. That's really cool. Great. Do I care about it? Not really. And this is the point. What does it prove? What does it change? How does the needle change for anyone else? So I've got followers because I place good imagery on my social media. I employ a photographer, Charles Robertson, who travels with me to the vast majority of my events. So it's a good place to advertise and put social media content, to put advertising, to put brand awareness, to put product placements in there. And that's just ticking one box off. But the more you dig into sponsorship, the more you dig into impact of social media, does that post on social, does those followers, do those likes, do those demographics, do they sell any more product for a company? Does it actually work? And the overwhelming answer is probably not. It's a combination of many things. So just having some good social media numbers and relying on that to be your sponsorship base is the wrong way to go about it nowadays. I think 5 years ago, it was certainly something that really mattered. These marketing people in their lovely air-conditioned offices, a lazy way of doing marketing would be just we've got a couple of athletes on board. They've got blue ticks. We've got 250,000 followers between our athletes, and that'll do. Well, it won't do. That's not enough. And that's not enough from the company. It's not enough from the rider. So considering that social media is like, the vast majority of the promotional aspects of being a sponsored rider is a myth that needs debunking straight away. It's not. You can't rely on that. It's not enough. A much more proactive way of doing sponsorship, it would be to, actually engaging with people personally. So that's talking to more people. That's really putting yourself forward to in the morning, going around all the trade stands and saying good morning to everyone. That's talking to commentators before we start racing, just to update people like you, Rich, on what's been going on recently. Am I carrying a bit of an injury? Is there a bit of a story there that when I'm racing round, you can mention? I know several times this year I'm racing, and you'll mention the 96 podcast. We are our podcast buddies. We'll talk about podcasts, and that gives you something to talk about me about when I'm racing. So it's finding some angles, and when you're interacting with people, and it should come naturally. It shouldn't be forced or a script. It's just we chat about podcasts inevitably because we both do one. Then when you commentate on me, you talk about, here's Scott Beaumont, 96 podcast host, leading this race, or he's 7th in this race, or whatever it may be. So it's engaging. So sponsorship, not relying on your social media, but having social media as maybe like 10 or 20% of it is good. Having personal relationships, talking to people, opening your story up, telling people about what's been going on, if they're interested, of course, is another 20%. Next is your presentation. How do you look? Is your bike clean? Is it immaculate clean? Is it all polished? Are the stickers peeling off? Have you put fresh stickers on? Do you look like you're someone who's serious about racing, or do you look like you just turned up from the last race? There's a bit of dust in between the spokes on your wheels. Well, that doesn't matter. No one will notice. People do notice. So being clean and tidy. Is your jersey ripped? Okay, well, maybe you can get a new jersey. If you can't afford a new jersey, maybe you can get it stitched up. Make every effort to make sure you're presented well. Do you have gusset grips on your bike, but an ODI sticker on your helmet? It's probably not the look you're looking for, So all this stuff, and I don't want to get too, focused in on literally the detail that I go into, but just because you've been given a free sticker doesn't mean you have to put it on your helmet or put it on your bike. Present yourself well, look good, make sure your kit's clean, make sure your kit doesn't smell. You know what I mean? People, clean your helmet liners. Just present yourself in a professional, clean, good way. That's a really good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next, if you're in a club at BMX races, don't be a pain. Don't be in that ease up and be a pain. Be in that ease up and represent people who are supporting you. So put yourselves forward. Help out with putting ease ups up and taking them down. Be that person who is dependable. Be that person who is always there and helping. All this stuff it doesn't go unnoticed. People notice. Good people notice good people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I'd start out on a smaller level of BMX. And then, if you get some support from, Dave's Hairdressers, that's cool. Put a logo of Dave's Hairdressers on your shirt, get it printed, get one get a hat made with Dave's Hairdressers on there. Support the people who are supporting you. Just because it's not GT or it's not Fox Clothing, if Dave's Hairdressers is supporting you, give back. So don't just take the £100 or £200 and don't do anything with it. Like, try and build that relationship. Try and build that 200 into £1,000 next year by sending them some photos from every race. Send a little race report out there. Feeding back this stuff, I think so many people in BMX mountain biking are looking for sponsors. It's so intrinsic. People are just looking within the sport. They want to be on a national race team, for example. Why is that? Just so you can move into another ease up, and what's the benefit? What's going on here? So look at ways outside of the sport to engage with, Joe's electrician company, Dave's Hairdressers, and whoever, like local companies. Maybe your family member has a company that can just do something. All these companies have marketing budgets. All these companies have ways and means of helping individuals, community, teams, clubs. So even if it's £10, well, that's half your race fee for the next race done. So try and engage people outside of national race teams, outside of BMX. Try to look a little bit more openly outside of our tiny niche little sport, and explore. That's where I'd start, I think. How's that? Okay. I'm not sure if I answered your question at all, but I'm rambling again.
You've gone into like mega detail there already, because my next question was going to be, actually, because obviously you've worked as a marketing director, you have 40 years of experience in this sport, and just going back to what you were saying about presenting yourself, we're doing a podcast now that's going to appear on YouTube, and you're wearing your sponsor's t-shirts, and that will appear on YouTube for like forever. Do you know what I mean? All the logos are there. That's the level of professionalism that we're talking about. So,
well, it's not, though, is it? Because it's a £5 t-shirt printed with like a 10, 15 quid print. So it's not a level of professionalism. It's just I take it seriously. So if I'm going to do a podcast with you, I'm not coming on here in a Superdry t-shirt or a Gucci t-shirt. I'm going to come on here in the people who are supporting me. And that, if this is Dave's Hairdressing or Adria Motorhomes, it doesn't matter. If I'm doing something with you, if I'm doing something with the local newspaper, if I'm doing something with a radio station, it doesn't matter. I'll get the photo in the radio station, even though you can't see, and I'll get the picture in there in my clothing. It's not even a level of professional. It's a 20 quid t-shirt. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to just sort of remember sometimes the detail in what you're saying here, because it's not that hard. Just people choose not to do it.
Yeah. So flipping that around, because obviously you were a marketing director of a motor racing circuit. So you kind of look at it from both sides. What does a potential sponsor really want from an athlete?
Well, measuring return is one of the hardest things imaginable, because if you take Saya Sakakibara, Olympic champion, will now have offers coming out of her ears. How do you measure the return on giving her £100,000? How do you measure return on giving her £1 million? How do you measure return on giving her a tire? It's very, very hard to do that as a direct thing. It's more about a hunch. So if you it's all about, I just think sponsorship marketing, it's all about presentation. If you come across as someone, maybe not professional is the wrong word, but just someone like who has integrity, who has principles, who is genuine, it's easier for me because I've been around a long time doing this. People trust in what I'm doing. It works. That's as close as you're probably going to get on tangible benefit. Does Beth Shriver riding a prophecy sell more prophecies? Well, at the point of sale, there's no button there to say, where did you hear about this prophecy? Did Beth Shriver winning the gold medal on this bike make you buy this bike? That detail isn't there, and it's not there for many products nowadays. There's not much out there. So all you can do as a company is look and see, was there a feel-good factor on that day? Did you have thousands of people there cheering for Beth? Was she sat on a prophecy bike? Therefore, we think this has worked really well. And that's probably as good as marketing gets, in my opinion, because you just can't get the tangible benefit. Did Beth sell 251 frames because she won the Olympics? We have no idea, nor does Prophecy. Does Prophecy feel good sponsoring a gold medalist? Of course they do. Did they see their numbers, their sales go up? Probably. And that's really where it's at. Did those numbers go up because they brought out a new colorway, or just because Beth was winning? It's very hard to pull those things apart and actually give a direct, tangible benefit of sponsorship. All you can do as a rider is present yourself well, talk well, be confident, Win races is always a bonus. If you can be out there winning races, if you can feed back to fellow teammates, club members, the sport, can you get involved in the club? Can you sit on the commission to help guide the sport? Can you be more of a face of a sport? Can you then work with UCI? Can you just keep on pushing your profile up and up? And can you not just get your name out there, but again, what we talked about last time, can you leave your sport in a better place? I think if people have that mentality of let's try and not just win races here or get lots of likes on social media, but can we make the sport better? Can we do something here that makes our sport better? Sponsorship will flow in right behind all that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the kind of, I suppose if you were to sum that up into like a sort of a concise kind of package, it's like give more than you get, give before you receive, and then wait and see what comes in after that. I mean, the prime example for me was I remember going to nationally in the US in 2008, the NBL, and I had numerous conversations with people on that weekend. It was the first weekend I met Jason Richardson. It was the first weekend I met Matt Polkamp. But the one scenario that stood out for me in that weekend, I had a chat with Nate Berkheimer. Now, Nate's long removed from the racing scene. And I actually did a little interview with him for my old podcast from like back in 2008. But as I was walking up for my main event, he stopped me. He went, "Good luck, mate. Have a good one." And that stood out in my mind for 16 years now, 17 years. And he's still one of my favorite riders of all time. So things like that, making yourself available, making yourself presentable, like you say, and just genuinely being a good person can
Being
go
polite.
a long way. Yeah.
Please,
absolutely.
thank yous, good luck. All that stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, if that's not you, and perhaps sponsorship isn't for you either. If you're genuinely a good person in life and you translate that through your BMX racing, through your sports, you won't go far wrong. And just wanted to add there, the lower, I did mention there about, what's tangible and how can you assess actual benefits and results from sponsorship endorsements. But I think the lower the product support is, the more you really can, because if Rich, I sponsor you now, I am Vans and I sponsor you with a pair of shoes this year. Fantastic. You're a great commentator. We want you in our shoes. Everyone's looking at you. Fantastic. You would really want to show that you sold Vans 2 pairs of shoes. 1 pair to cover the cost of the pair of shoes they gave you, and 1 pair to give them some profit. So that 2-to-1 ratio, I think, works really well where, on the smaller level deals, if someone gives, if Crucial give you a frame, and you can literally take a customer over there and help, produce a frame sale off the back of them seeing you sponsored by them, that's great. If you then take a second customer over and say, this is Joanne, she wants to buy a frame for her son, fantastic, and that deal goes through, all of a sudden Crucial go, okay, well, just because, Joe Bloggs was on our frame, he just sold us 2 frames. That worked. We've made some profit from this. This is all working. So I think the lower the deals are, the more you can actually assess it. When you get up into payments, thousands of pounds and vehicles and cars, then it becomes much more down to, getting that worked out. Do I sell any more £150,000 motorhomes this year? Well, it turns out I do know 4 have been sold off the back of viewings of my motorhome. But as a general within the offices, do they see that sale go through? There's no link there. Just it's always tricky to assess it. But the lower the number is, the lower the product support is, you can start really pushing that stuff forward and saying, "Oh no, we sold 4 pairs of tires for you last week." So that 2 pairs of tires you gave me is great, because actually we've given you some profit now.
Okay, fantastic. So moving on to things like, I think this is an area that people don't know a huge amount about, which is sponsorship proposals. So from a position of like a rider who wants to go out, they want to get some assistance, what is, or how would you advise a rider to structure a sponsorship proposal?
Okay, that's fairly easy. You want the person reading that proposal to finish reading your proposal and have no questions left at all. You need to address everything you possibly can so that their only answer is left with yes or no. And if you can produce a proposal that does that, you are close to sponsorship. You've got a good chance of getting something, because what marketing people hate, what people in offices hate, is more work. They're busy enough already. They have a full-time job. You adding to that just adds to their day, their week, their year. So the easiest answer always is no, because no means no more phone calls, no more emails from you, no more letters. This is done. No just means I carry on with my day and I don't have to do any more. If you produce a proposal that literally doesn't leave any stone unturned, like you cover all the bases, then that marketing person is going, okay, well, this person is no hassle. This person is clearly knows what they're doing. They know what they want to do. They have a clear plan that isn't going to need any resource from me, any of my time, energy, or anything else. So that's where proposals work super well. In the proposal, you have to always assume that the person you're speaking to has no idea who you are, no idea about your sport, no idea about anything. Start from the start. So who are you? What are you about? What do you like doing? Do you like golf? Do you like cricket? Do you like playing tiddlywinks? You can't just be, I'm a BMXer. I love BMX. I'm BMX. You cut me in half, says BMX. Okay, that's cool. How about you? What are you about? What's your deal? Tell us more about you, So opening gambit would just be a little bit about you, your age, where you live, your interests, even your qualifications. If it was a job interview, I went to school, I'm educated, I've got some results. If it's a younger rider who hasn't been through exams and stuff yet, tell them about how you're doing at school, what subjects you like. Give the marketing person a broad picture of who you are and what you're about. Then come on to your race results. Obviously, I think race results are the most important thing. Again, we touched at the start about social media. I still believe race results are the most important thing. You need to be winning races, or you need to be top 5 or top 10, whatever the number is obviously dictated by the level of sponsorship you're asking for as well. But tell them how good you are. Tell them you do coaching courses with Team GB riders. Tell them you are, you're studying. You've got some homeschooling going on with some nutrition things or some strength conditioning. Tell them about, like, you're in on this, and why you're in on this. Give them the results. Let them know how you're getting on. Show them your links on your social media. Give them links. If you've got a website, websites are so easy to set up now. Get a little website up and running. Put links on there to your sponsors. If you look at my website, beaumontracing.com, there are links to every single one of my sponsors, and they're in order of who pays me the most, all the way down to who pays me the least, frankly. And have that pecking order. If someone's giving you more, put them at the top. Promote them the most. Then on the next few pages, maybe talk about how you present yourself, what your clothing looks like, what your bike looks like. Like what I do at nationals, I have my own team gazebo, show how that looks, show how it's going to be printed. Maybe even down to details, show, the tent will be sublimated, not just printed on with press print, so it's not going to peel off during the year. It's going to look as good at the last round as it does at the start. And then at the end, like tell the company, what the deal is, what you're looking for specifically from them, why you're looking for that, and what you're going to give back. So it might be I want to ride on your ice carbon bike because I feel it's lighter, it's going to be faster, and it can take me to the next level internationally because I'm winning everything in the UK, but when I go abroad, I'm getting beaten. So I'm going to use your ice bike to be a lighter bike, to be a faster bike. I believe the results from that deal will come that I will be winning Europe and whatever else. And in return, I want to do a couple of clinics at my local track. I want to promote ice on my clothing. I want to promote ice through my website. I'll be available for your dealer days. And I go as far as saying, I guarantee I can sell you more ice bikes because I ride an ice bike. And that's how I would outline a proposal. Just right from the start, person knows nothing about you. Give them some detail, give them some race history, give them some what you're about, what your look and feel is going to be about, and then what the deal is, and hammer it home there.
Yeah, I think probably the most important part of that, Scott, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, is the number one question in a potential sponsor's mind is, what am I going to get out of it? And I think a lot of people forget that. I think it's probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they send a sponsorship proposal, when they approach a sponsor. The only thing they really want to know is, what am I going to get out of the deal?
Yeah, because like I said before, we're all hassle. Sponsoring is hassle. It means even if it just comes down to, when I put this phone call down, when I send this email, it means I'm now going to have to go and order some stuff, pick it from the warehouse, parcel it up, send it. That's all coming out of my budget. So that's money out of my budget. Is this person going to call me every week asking for stupid questions or things they can't have or whatever? Is this hassle? Yes or no? And that's why I say in the proposals, if you can make it as clear cut as possible, who you are and what you're about, make it nice and simple. And at the end of that proposal, just say, yes, this is a good idea. No, it isn't, because, you can only pick up the people who are going to be hassle or whatever through what they're writing and how it looks and whatever. So it's just, like I say, it all comes back to being polite, being good, being thoughtful, and showing a company how you can help them, not hinder them in their progress to building up.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump forward a touch then. So when that athlete gets on board with that sponsor, they've got a brand new sponsor. They look, Dave's Hairdressers, Ice Bikes, whoever it might be. What are the most important things that they need to do then when they have that new sponsor? And even when they're established, what are the key points? I mean, we've covered things like being well presented and that kind of thing. But if you brought a new sponsor on board, what would be the first thing that you would do to make them go, bloody hell, that was a good idea. I'm glad we took Scott on.
Dead easy. I'd drive straight to their office, shake their hand, get a photo of it, get that online straight away. Bang. I'll come to you. Don't come to me. I'll come to you. I'll come pick up the bike. I'll come pick up the shoes. I want to make sure we tell the world about this. That's where social media works. I don't think it's going to help with any sales initially or anything, but you tell your friends, your family, your followers. Excuse me. You make the effort right from the word go. Bang, make the effort. Go and see them. Yeah. Get the deal done. Shake the hand. If there's a contract to be signed, don't do it over email or over post. Go and see them straight away. Done. That's how you build a relationship to last. Make a good first impression straight away.
Yeah. Okay.
So go and see them. Do all that stuff. Tell the world. Then I go straight to work on making sure I have their logos in EPS format or AI format. A JPEG of their logo isn't good enough. The quality is fuzzy and blurry. Straight away, you're not looking professional. So, sorry, excuse me. Get the logos in all formats so you can use those logos properly in the right way on different stuff. So I'm no computer whiz. But I do have friends who can help me when it comes to, file formats and whatever. So make sure you get a logo good, get it on your website, get it on your social media profiles. So when it gives a little bio about you, sponsored by X, Y, and Z, get it straight on there. Then we go on to the look and the feel. So if it's just a pair of shoes, maybe you want to put a small sticker on your bike. Maybe you want to get some stickers made that fit your bike properly. Certainly you want to be looking at, okay, this is my race jersey for next year. Where am I going to put the logos? Which parts of the jersey has the most impact? Therefore, what's the most valuable parts of that jersey? Obviously, chest front is where your main sponsor would go. Sleeves, different things. On the back is different things. So everything has a value. Everything has a place. So really consider where it's going to go. If you have your own tent, consider where the logo is going to go on a tent. If you have a van, there's a guy at Mountain Bike now, Ian Forsyth, who's doing a great job. He's sponsored by a carpentry company, a finance company, a builder, someone else. I think he's got 5 or 6 sponsors, all local companies to him. He's got a transit van. In the back panel of the van, he's got the sticker made to fit that panel perfectly. Ian Forsyth, number 77, and a list of his sponsors. It's, again, that presentation, that appearance. When he turns up at races, everyone knows where he is, puts his tent next to his van, looks super professional. He's doing little posts now and again about like his sponsors who are helping him. So that's the stuff I would do. You sign a new sponsor, go and shake their hands, get the photo, promote, get your kit ready, get to the track, and go and win those races.
Yeah. Okay. So key point, be a professional at all times. So
it's got me this far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got you through 40 years of racing. So on the flip side of that then, in fact, I'm going to tell a story first, just what you said about being professional, especially when you've had a sponsor for a long, long time. I have a clear vision in my head. I'm going to go back now to the Manchester Supercross, the very first one, 2013, I think it was.
Okay.
And we were corralling the athletes on that particular day to do all the green screen stuff that appeared on the big screen in the indoor. And I got everybody. But the one that stands out in my mind is Mariana Pajon.
Okay.
Because I'm like, Mariana, can we do some green screen stuff? She's like, yeah, we can do it. No problem at all. And she comes into the room. She went, wait, hang on, zip back out, came back in, Red Bull hat straight on her head. Absolutely. She's like, I can't forget the hat. Yeah, so if the Olympic champion, the double Olympic champion is doing that, that's a sign that, riders need to follow her lead, follow your lead, and that's the way they should actually do things. So knocking on from that, I suppose, I'm going to give you a leading question here. What are the worst mistakes that you've seen from a sponsored rider?
Spelling sponsorship wrong.
The it's actual word sponsorship or the spelling
sponsor. People put spons and an ER at the end. And it's like, whoa.
Spell check your proposal.
You send a proposal in and you spell sponsorship wrong straight away. And you're like, whoa. Like, it's the first page, front page, picture of you, 2025, sponsorship proposal, sponsorship spelled wrong. Check how you spell sponsorship. I'm not joking. In mountain biking, and talking to marketing people I know, and people within the industry and stuff, the 50% of people goes in the bin straight away. You've just spelled sponsorship wrong. No time for you at all. So check your spellings, especially sponsorship, but check your spellings in your whole proposal. Like, you're going nowhere. You're going nowhere if there's a mistake in there. Consider the imagery you're using. Consider the photos. If you want to use to be sponsored by Schwalbe tires, for example, and you're currently using Maxxis tires, maybe consider using photos that don't show side on you and a big Maxxis logo on the side. Maybe consider showing photos that a bit more generic, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So consider the imagery, consider the photos, get your spell check right. And then also, it sounds so stupid, but use a product. If you don't want to use a product, don't ask them for sponsorship. If you're using, I'm not going to pick anyone out, but an inferior product, something that is cheap and nasty, but you're using it because you got, 12 of them for free. And then you end up not using it. It's just no good for anyone. Yeah, the product's not very good in the first place, but try and pick your companies wisely. Don't go with someone you don't believe in. Don't go with someone you don't have any faith in the product. Choose your company. If you don't get that sponsorship, then fine. But it's good to have principles and not just sort of sell yourself to the lowest common denominator and be like, okay, I'll just take that because it's free. Be happy to say no. It's, you want to use products that help you win or be better. Using products that are if I'm a BMX rider and I'm accepting sponsorship from I don't know, a dog groomer, and all they give me is 4 free dog grooms, well, it's not really going to help my BMX career. Sure, my dog will look fantastic at the side of the track, but so pick your products wisely. I'm getting better examples than a dog groomer. I'm sorry, Rich. I should have
no, it's
better examples up and running here. And if you're going to use products, if you get sponsored by a crank company, and there's a plastic crank company who want to give you 20 sets of cranks,
because you keep snapping them,
just say no, because it's a plastic crank. It's going to snap. What's the point? You don't believe in the product. It's going to let you down. It's not going to help you win races. Just say no on this occasion. You have to buy a set of cranks. You can't be sponsored by everyone and everything. So have some morals, have some principles, like try and choose wisely. And then when you choose wisely, give it your all, give them back above and beyond what you thought you were going to. And that's how I guarantee sponsorship going forwards works, because if you believe in a product, it's not a problem to promote it.
Yeah, I suppose the big question would be, would I spend my own money on this product? And
Sure.
if the answer is yes, then it's probably a good person for you to go to with a sponsorship proposal at the level where you're currently at, or maybe one level up if you want to move yourself on. So yeah, key point. If you would actually go and buy that company's products, then that's the kind of people you need to be approaching. Plus, as well, going back to the tire example that you gave, I think if you've got a specific company that you want to be sponsored by, and the fact that they're going to give you 12 sets of tires to see you through the year, or give you enough money to get you to 3 Euro rounds, I would go out, buy a pair of tires, and get a specific photo of me riding on those tires. So when they open up the proposal, they go, bloody hell, he's using Schwalbe tires already. That's
exactly.
a good start. So yeah.
Another thing I was going to say earlier, I actually forgot about saying, and we were talking about how you go about getting sponsors and what you do and stuff. Something else, something that's really worked well for me, is to make sure if there are things like shows on. So for me, I always go to a motorhome show, go and see Adria, go and hang out in their stand stuff. But if there are events, like motorcycle shows, like Data Tag, one of my main partners, they're involved in cycling and motorcycling, but I know they have a big stand at the motorcycle show, so I'll go there. But I'll plan to spend the whole day there, because you never know. There are insurance companies there. There are energy drink companies there. There are GoPro will be there. All these companies are there, and you don't be afraid of, it's not a BMX show, so I'm not going. Everyone needs to be thinking much more outside the box. Going to, and again, it comes down to that, being able to talk to people, being able to present yourself, present your sport in a way that these people are inspired and they want to get involved. That's the key. And there's no best place to do that than trade shows. So if there's trade shows on, try and get a ticket. Just go along. It might be the best sort of 16, 18 quid ticket price you've ever sort of paid.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that you can actually have a conversation with people, and that, as good as the online side is, it's being able to walk up to people, talk to them face to face, see those social cues, and they get a sense of what you're about then. That's the kind of first point, I think, for building those relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah. And talking, I'm just sort of spitballing here and thinking about things, but it's been really interesting post Olympics to see so many BMX riders now going down the coaching route. Really noticing Quillen, really noticing Ross, Sire, doing all these clinics, and they've existed before, but all of a sudden, like Quillen is having a push towards doing coaching around the world. If I'm a sponsor, I'm looking at going, that's fantastic. Yeah. He's not only teaching kids, he's not only inspiring them, he's doing it while wearing my t-shirt, he's doing it while using my tires, while turning up in my car. That's where we talk about going above and beyond and giving back more, leaving the sport in a better place when he found it, all this kind of stuff. He's doing a great job now of, yes, he's at the very sharpest, pointy end of the sport, but he's finding ways, and he's ultimately making some more money. He's getting paid for his coaching. That's great. But he's making himself more valuable to sponsorship, to sponsors. So that isn't for everyone, but it just shows that level, those guys are all of a sudden getting more of a handle on how you go about attracting more sponsorship and outside companies, because he's got the attention of 15 kids every day looking at him, hanging on his every word, whilst wearing whatever clothing he's wearing, in that helmet with those goggles on, with Dave's hairdressers on his arm, and these kids are, inspired by it. So it's nice to see at that sharp end. These elite riders are still learning, still working out how to do this. And I think in the sharp end of BMX races in the elite level, I think that coaching is a great way to go to sponsors and say, right, I'm winning these races. I'm world ranked number 4. I'm national champion. But I've got a coaching clinic database, and I'm coaching 400 children per year under the age of 16. And we're going to do giveaways at the clinics with your products and whatever. So that's, they're really sort of like working that really well at the moment, I think, as well.
Yeah, and we alluded to that in a previous podcast as well, that it's the kind of thing that Barry Nobles does. But I'm going to take
absolutely
a step even further back than that with a better example in kind of like the pre-social media era, and that was Robbie Miranda when he rode for DK. Yeah. And he went out and did clinics all over the USA. There was no Instagram. There was, Facebook was in its infancy. He was the pre-social media pro who went out and did that clinic tour, and without all the benefits of social media, he got voted pro of the year. So that's the first one that immediately springs to mind. So that's the power of actually.
Yeah, we've crept into speaking about pros and the sharp end and elite riders now, but like I say, it's good to address them as well, because I think in BMX, pro riders historically haven't done a good job in sponsorship. Everyone just relies on now national federation support and whatever. It's nice to see just a little bit of thinking outside the box going on here. I think Kai and Beth have been very lucky in that they're mega stars. They are household names, and they've now got to a point where they are approached by BMW. They're approached by Ben Sherman and some of the others I've seen Kai with recently. I saw Beth has a new energy drink, bulk energy drinks, and all sorts going on, so they're in a position where they are approached by other people. All these sort of tips and hints and stuff still apply to them. Be professional, be clean. You won't see Kai White turn up at a track with a dirty bike. You won't see Beth turn up with scratches on a helmet. They're going to turn up immaculate at all times because they are fronting brands. And but that's the sharp end. It's nice to see those elites on the B level elites, those elites just below that Olympic dream at the moment. Really sort of, Ross Cullen, he's got like a BMW deal with motorbikes and cars at the minute. That's come from, he's doing a bit of work with photography and filming, and he's now making great sort of promotional films himself and great social media posts. And all of a sudden, someone saw that, whether he sent that, I'm not sure if he sent that to BMW or not, but he's got content and things that are interesting that can make people's jaws drop and go, wow, this guy's the real deal. This guy can actually help us, not actually give us more problems. So it's nice to see those elites really working hard and hustling now a bit more, because there's been 10 years of just that reliance on national federation support and money. So good to see those guys at the sharp end. This talk isn't just about for how kids get £100 help with their entry fees next year, but the elites, nice to see they're sort of like changing the format as well a bit more.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely. Do you think that there's going to be kind of a change in how companies approach athletes? Like you say, you've just said about Ross and the fact that he's got these deals coming through now because of what he's done and everything else. Do you think that companies will maybe change approach as we get into the kind of deeper into the social media era or the AI era or anything like that? What do you think the next level of sponsorship might be?
Great question. I'm not sure. Ultimately, I'm not sure anyone will be. These things just evolve naturally anyway. I believe at the minute, and I've said this online several times, I think I believe that for companies' benefit, they believed it used to be about social media, clicks, likes, and follows and whatever. There's very little data out there that shows how your likes and followers translate into a couple of clicks forward, that they go to a website and buy some product. There's very little out there. I think things like podcasts are fantastic platforms because you can get into people's ears, not just their eyes and their fingers. Is a really good place to start, I think, with current levels of sponsorship. I think diversifying into podcasts, into vlogs, I think is just a real key part at the minute. Like, people hearing your, Instagram and Facebook, you don't hear your voice, you don't hear the passion, the enthusiasm, the sort of, what you're about, and I think podcasts can really get across a bit more about you. I think vlogs can get across, it's more about you. I mean, a great place to start would be, BMX Nationals now. You're allowed to use helmet cameras. I've always used a helmet camera for the last 2 years. Last year, I had to apply to BC with our forms that you filled in, and which I get is a bit of hassle for some people, but for me and my sponsors, being able to promote, that was worth every second of every bit I had to write in that form. This year was, I think it's if you're over, I believe 16 years old, you can use a helmet camera.
Absolutely.
How many helmet cameras are you seeing out there?
Not very many.
4, 5?
Yeah.
It's like the options there. And I think that's the next level, is making sure that BMXers get on board with the vlogs and the podcasts and the other platforms and possibilities that are available out there. And that option's been there for BMXers for the last year, but no one's really took it. And that's probably a good starting point for saying, well, why isn't there more sponsorship in UK BMX? Why aren't our riders why don't we get X, Y, Z? They can't even, make a film of the weekend and say this is how we did or whatever. And so, and that's available for free now to anyone who wants to do it. So I think, it's just sometimes, the sport just needs to grab the bull by the horns a bit more and be like, okay, there is sponsorship out there. There are possibilities. There is money. There are products. But we've got to display as a sport and as people and as clubs and teams that we're going to do a bit more as well. You know what I mean? Like, the options there to do more, and not many people are engaging with that. So,
Yeah. So I suppose the kind of the key points, if we're going to kind of wrap this up, sum it up, is be presentable, be professional, develop relationships with people face to face if humanly possible. Go above and beyond for your sponsors, go above and beyond for a potential sponsor. Think about what they're going to get from sponsoring you. I think we've probably summed that up in a few points over the last 52 minutes. So is there anything else you think we need to add there?
Don't sell yourself short. Have places on. Ty Woofenden in Speedway is a great example of this. So he wore all black for he still does to this day. And he's like world champion, 3 times world champion, whatever. He will happily race in an all black Kevlar race suit for Speedway at Grand Prix level with no sponsor. If he has, this is worth an amount of money. This is worth an amount of money. This is worth an amount of money. All these are different values. If people don't step up to that, they don't go on. And so I think that's probably a good thing to add as well. Like, don't undersell yourself. If you have a value in mind of what this logo here is worth, whether that's a pair of shoes, whether it's 4 stickers or £100,000, like, stick to it, because it will come good. Because this year, Ty Woofenden all of a sudden does have the logos on there, but he stuck to his guns and just said, no, this is 100, not £50,000, or this is 1,000, not £400. And don't be afraid of it's so easy just to grab things sometimes, but have some principles, have some belief in what you're going to do is going to work out. Because I think when it comes to sponsorship, it's so easy to just grab sometimes, and like I said, just go for the freebies and the bits of money and what. Just think about what you're doing. Try and have a plan. Try and have structure. What the number. Everyone can print their own number plates now. Really consider. Every photograph probably at BMX Nationals has your front number plate on it. So what's that worth? If you think that's worth a pair of shoes, then fantastic. Put Vans on there, get a pair of shoes. The helmet, the shirts. Just consider what everything is worth. Everything's got a value, and try as much as you can, to have some principles on what those values are.
Yeah. Do you know what? That was actually a subject that I didn't think about. Examples from other sports of people doing really good jobs with sponsorship. Is there anybody else that you can think of? I know you've given us that Speedway example. Is there any others that you can think of from, like, motocross, skateboarding, surfing, anything like that?
let me just drop my microphone here. I was sat in a bar with Ricky Carmichael one time.
Oh my
Clang,
gosh, clang.
clang, and Ian Walsh, the surf guy.
Yeah, I know that name. He's a big wave surfer, isn't he?
Big wave surfer.
Yeah.
And we had done the Fox clothing launch in Biarritz. So obviously Ian was brought in because he could do some surfing for Fox reps and stuff. And literally me, RC, and Ian are just sat there having a beer. It's like 1 a.m. in the bar after doing his whole presentation. We just launched a new carbon helmet, I think, for Fox and all sorts of stuff. Loads of stuff going on. Sat in the bar chilling. And RC started asking, listen to me, my mate RC. RC was asking Ian about how sponsorship works in surf. And so he started explaining that his surfboard, even though his surfboard is literally, he can like divide it up. He can put lines on his surfboard. That's worth X. That's worth less. This is worth least. And it's all about when he carves the waves, like what shows in the picture. What is always the most visible,
Right?
And he could literally divide his surfboard up into money. Like this is like 8 segments, and that's what each segment's worth, and there's reasons why. I just thought that was ace, yeah, and that sums it up. I mean, that's as easy as it is to work it out. You know, it's like he's got a board, just slice it into 8 slices, and that's what each one's worth.
Like a pizza.
I'm not going to, it was between me, Ricky Carmichael, and Ian on what those values were, but it'll make your eyes water.
Wow.
You would not believe the money he talks. It was, and this is 10 years ago. It was shocking. Millions.
Wow.
Millions. So yeah. So everything, just consider logo placement. Consider, you know, where it goes. Look at the photos you got this year. Look at Roots and Rain. Look at Tony Twist photos, Abby Taylor's photos, Suzanne's photos. Look at, you know, really think about like, okay, most 90% of pictures are coming from this angle. So I need to really think about where my sponsorship goes, how it looks.
Yeah.
Then I need to get that message across to the company. I need to get a message across to the company in a way that they feel like I'm trustworthy, I'm worth their investment. And then afterwards, I need to deliver on what I said I would. Those are your 3 steps. Consider it, execute it, deliver.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. Do you know what? Just talking about other athletes from other sports, there's another one that sprang to mind. And I think this kid was a sponsor's dream before he won a race, before he won a title, all that kind of stuff. Hayden Deegan.
Yes.
You know,
so Hayden Deegan might be, you know, might just change a couple of things I've said in this podcast in that, well, maybe not actually, because it's more vlog, isn't it? But the vlog side for them has built their social medias into these monsters. I mean, it's millions and millions and millions of followers, but it still comes from the vlog that, like I said, not many people in BMX are engaging with. I think it's a real, people in BMX really need to be getting behind those helmet cameras, you know, show the story of the weekend, show what's going on, get it out there. But Hayden Deegan, well, the Deegan family, Brian, and even like his daughters are in like NASCAR truck races. And yeah, that's how you build, you know, having a dad who's a nutter anyway, doing craziest things and whatever, and backflips and sending his bikes when he won a Supercross race, all that stuff, you know, that helps in the background before social media. I think people have got a perception of what Brian Deegan, who he is, Metal Militia, all that kind of stuff. So that helps. But the way they've been able to sort of now focus that Metal Militia kind of support into this squeaky clean American kid with Hayden is quite interesting, because they've been able to channel people who may not actually have been Hayden Deegan fans while supporting Brian Deegan. Actually, they've transferred them into Hayden fans and this squeaky clean all-American kid. And it's fascinating story, that family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep hearing they're going to set their own team up and all sorts. They're going to, and that's probably a little closing thing to say for BMXers is, you know, if you look at what I do at Nationals, I have my own stand, I have my own presentation. I'm not part of another team. It doesn't cost all that much to have a gazebo, your own gazebo at races. So don't be afraid of, you know, if you're in a club at the minute and you're offered to ride for a team, but they're really not giving you that much, don't be afraid to go out and do it yourself. It's not a problem. Do your own teamwork. Do your own thing. It's not a problem, honestly. It's you might thank me for that one day, because I just see some of these riders jumping onto these teams and stuff and not really getting much for it. It's again, having these principles, having some values, having some, what am I worth? What am I worth to others?
Brilliant. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up, Scott. So thank you very much for that. And then if anybody's got questions for you on what we've talked about, because I'm sure some people will walk up to you at a race and have a conversation, where's the best place to find you?
Dead easy, at Beaumont Racing, BeaumontRacing on all platforms, all the social medias, YouTube, what stuff. Just fire me a message. I answer everyone who messages me. I'll always answer you. Again, I've said to you before, I'm here to leave BMX and mountain bike in a better place than when I found it. So I'm here to help. I'm literally, you got any questions, from elite riders asking what am I worth to a 5-year-old saying, how do I get a free cap? Absolutely. Just fire me a message. I'm here to help. No problem. And I must say, on sponsorship as well, just to the Kebab House Racing team as well, thanks for the hat. They kindly sent me to Malvern's. So
yeah. They
even
sent me
even on that level, I'm getting paid as a pro rider. Still thankful for a Kebab House Racing hat.
Absolutely. I got a beer koozie out of it. So yeah, it was a win.
Check out my website, beaumontracing.com. You'll see how I do race reports. All the race reports are on there. Consider using MailChimp for people who out there want to do race reports. Every single race I do, a race report goes out to all my sponsors, anyone who signs up to my newsletter. So consider doing that. Consider getting a deal with a photographer, getting images from every race. Check it out there. Look at my website. It's all on there. You'll see how I go about presenting race results and calendars and all that kind of stuff. So just Beaumont Racing across all of it. Just most of your answers are probably going to be out there on that somewhere along the line.
Yeah. So the template's there. You've just got to follow it.
Well, there'll be people doing it better than me, but to say I'm a BMX and four cross rider, still in it as a pro rider, I think, we must be doing something right somewhere along the line. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Good place to wrap it up then. Scott Beaumont, thank you very much for coming back on the BMX Commentator Podcast again for the second time.
You're welcome.
Brilliant. Can't wait to see what the future holds. So thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Good luck out there.
Thanks, Scott. Cheers.